right, folks, grab a seat and pour your drink neat as Whiskers and Whiskeys presents our next iteration of our holiday special college football wrap up, college football playoff talk here on the eve of New Year's Eve. I'm Mike with EJ. How's it going, pal?
It's going great. We went and did some Kennywood Lights tonight.
Oh, how was that?
It was good. It was good. Just some nice fresh air. Wasn't too cold actually, even though it's in the 40s. I definitely wore too many layers, but yeah, it's not a bad time. We bought the tickets. They're actually kind of expensive. They're like $40, but they were running a deal months ago where you could get them for like $15. So
nice.
Yeah, so that's what we did. So that was it's nice. So I'm feeling good actually, like to get that kind of cold, fresh air, got some walking going on. Like I feel pretty good.
Yeah. I do love walking around the cold at night. Especially have a cigarette after a couple drinks. There's nothing like, having a cigarette outside in the summertime after a couple drinks is one thing. Having a cigarette after a couple drinks in the dead of winter when it's like 10 degrees outside. Oh yeah. That's the good stuff right there. That's the good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to take your word for it, but
yeah. Oh, trust me, it's great. We'll do it. We're gonna do it sometime.
All right. So why don't we? Do you want to do our favorite bowl first, or do we want to do talk about the 4 playoff games that we saw?
Why don't we talk about our favorite bowl first? I don't really know that I have one. I mean, I've kind of watched some stuff here and there.
I just meant the bowl that we love, regardless of what happens.
Well,
there's one that's near
America's favorite bowl. The
future
soon to be
playoff. Yeah,
the soon to be national championship game, the Pop-Tart Bowl. Yes,
the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Yes.
And I was telling you, I didn't get to watch it, which was, I mean, I kind of knew that was going to happen. We actually tried to do Kennywood Lights on Saturday because it was 60 degrees.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so great that the parking was sold out at Kennywood, like no more parking.
Really?
And the line to get in was over an hour through security.
Oh my gosh.
So we got there and then promptly turned around.
Can't do that.
Yeah, so I knew I wasn't going to really watch much of it, but I was hoping to catch the end, which is really all I wanted to see.
Well, the beginning was something too.
Well, God damn it, we missed a classic.
So I watched I watched chunks of the game here and there, and I was hosting a party, right? And I had chicken. I made chicken cutlets and I made chicken parm, and the timing of everything at the party is interesting because it's because I fried my chicken before I put it in the oven. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to have the frying process done prior to people really showing up. And literally I had just taken the last cutlets out of my cast iron when the first people walked through the door. So it was perfect timing from that perspective, right? And then they go in the oven for a little while, and it's this real dance of when are we gonna eat, right? Because almost everyone had kids. There was 4 couples, 3 of which had kids, and it's kids are kind of flexible on when they eat, but there's you can't really go past 6 o'clock, right?
Yeah, right.
And then how many drinks do people want to have, before we have dinner, right? You want to get a little bit liquored up.
Sure.
And, we were having a good time. And I was just sitting there, really trying to balance, when am I going to put, do I need to put stuff in the oven to keep warm? When do I want to turn on the broiler? When do I want to start cooking the noodles? Because I did chicken parm with, pasta and everything, with penne and with spaghetti. So it's a whole thing, different cook times there. So, I was able to watch some of the game. It's very exciting. What do you think about Cam Ward they're down by 1. What do you think about him not coming back into the game there?
I mean, I just don't. I think you either play or you don't. Like, and I
Yeah.
think it's. I mean, what was the record he was trying to do?
I didn't know that he was going for a record.
Yeah, that's why he
If
played.
he was, I didn't hear that. I thought he
Yeah.
was just trying to like um kind of have a final performance ahead of the draft. You know, I think him and Shador were both trying to like make their case as to why they should be the first quarterback selected.
Oh no, he broke the Division 1 passing touchdown record.
Okay, so there's that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can't get too mad at it because like the alternative is he doesn't play at all.
Right.
So that's fine. But I just think it's silly to even have a record that would extend into a meaningless bowl game. Like, it should just be regular season records. Like the
Yeah.
bowls
Yeah.
shouldn't count towards, however many
Yeah.
touchdowns or passing yards or whatever the situation is. So I don't know. I think it's kind of weak that he played, to throw that touchdown and then wanted to sit, but
Yeah.
I'm not like
Well,
super mad at it.
it's interesting because like I think Affleck did a joint press conference with Prime, right? Talking about like all the insurance that like Travis and Shador had on themselves for playing in the game. It's like, that would be. I know that Affleck's throwing a lot of money, as most insurers do at their advertising campaigns, but like, boy, I mean, if you put like, what if you sign a kid to like a $200 million policy for like one game, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I
Like,
doubt they would do that though. Like the insurance
why?
company.
Why? Why not?
To be able to, well, what are they getting? Like how much are they getting in a premium to cover that? Because like it's way more likely you're paying that out than not, right? Like
No,
so
no.
you're
Way more
putting.
likely. What are the odds they get catastrophically injured? And there's got to be clauses in
I was
there,
gonna say
right?
it depends on
Yeah, it
what's
depends. How
considered
much does it
injury.
impact your draft
Yeah.
position, right? Like,
I don't
what
know.
are the
I
odds?
mean,
What are the odds of a kid getting hurt? First of all, like for them, right? For a kid like Shador or like Cam Ward, right?
yeah.
What are the odds that you get hurt in the game? First of all, and then secondly, like there's levels to this, right? Like if you're for them, your draft grade is first round, right? Okay, well, if you fall even out of the first round, well, that's a little tricky for the company too, right? Because they could be like, well, maybe people just didn't think you were valued properly, right?
Yeah, I come away with. I mean, what do you think that cost them? A million more? I have no idea. I have no idea what the premium would be to have something massive like that.
Just do it for like publicity's sake,
Yeah,
you know?
Alamo Dome, so it's an indoor venue with turf. I don't
Just
know.
do it for publicity's sake.
I think it's silly that they played. To be honest with you, like there's nothing more to be talked about. Like Travis
Yeah,
Hunter
but
is
like
likely the
I
first
want exciting
overall
bowl
pick.
games. I want people
And
to
they got killed. That's the problem. They got
That's
absolutely
well.
embarrassed by BYU. So if you,
Listen, forget about Colorado. I mean, yeah,
oh,
they're
okay,
they're the most.
oh,
I'm done talking about that
yeah,
team
that's what I mean. It's just like
forever and ever.
if you're them,
I'm saying like for Cam, I'm saying in this type of situation, right? Like Cam Ward and Shador are the two players that
Yeah.
this really applies to. Because no one's sitting out for Penn State or Ohio State, anyone who's in the playoff, right? But like, yeah, it's an interesting thing. Just an interesting thing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like on one side, yes, we would rather have the best players playing games, even if they're meaningless. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to continue to happen, and I think like the Cam Wards are going to be few and far between, and yeah, I don't know. But it made for an interesting game, and for Miami, at least you got to look at what the backup looks like ahead of transfer portal stuff and things like that. So you kind of
Yeah,
know what you need. But yeah, I did. I caught the very beginning of the game, but I missed the touchdowns, of course. So it's like I watched the very first, and then when I turned it back on, it was already 7-7, which annoyed me. And then I didn't get to watch it again until about 50 seconds left. So I think at that point, the Cyclones had already gone up. Like I
Yeah, they
just
were up
missed
by a
that
point. Yeah.
touchdown, and then saw obviously Miami not do anything with the ball. So, but did get to see the ceremony, and that's all I needed to see.
Well, I
Right?
mean the pregame. Let's not gloss over that. I mean the
Okay.
whole intros,
Yeah.
ripping off the packaging,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
the strawberry pop tart being risen like the Undertaker at the top of the. If he would have if he would have done a Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 7 or whatever that was, where Shawn comes down the zip line. Oh, oh my gosh. Mm.
Yeah, that was some good pageantry, and I loved that. I loved the end. I was texting
WrestleMania
with
12,
you.
I was way off. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
I had no idea. Like, so they had introduced, like, last year was just the one wildly popular one Pop Tart. This year they announced the three, right? And they had the
Mm.
whole mystery one. And I just assumed all three were going to get eaten. I did not know that they were going to then have the MVP of the game, who in this case was Rocco Becht, the quarterback for Iowa State, get to choose which one. And it was so emphatic too. There was zero hesitation. It was cinnamon roll. It was always cinnamon roll, right?
It was always
It
cinnamon
was
roll.
always cinnamon roll.
It was always cinnamon.
So, and I think they actually got to try, or at least maybe the commentators got to try the Pop Tarts beforehand because they talked about like how good the cinnamon roll one was. Obviously, shocking, right? They need to have that little product placement out there. But
I imagine it was delicious. Yeah, I mean, gosh, I mean, I just did a tasting on our last show. The wild berry still slaps. You
yeah,
know, like
yeah.
it's incredible. Yeah, I mean, I
Also, this is
bought
just
more Pop Tarts since
yeah.
then.
Oh yeah, this has just been a problem. I've never had Pop Tarts in my house. I told you like beforehand, right? Never. And I have even bought them now. So I mean,
Oh.
they're just giant eagle has them 2 for $5. So
Oh yeah,
how can I
that's the
not?
problem is they throw those bad boys on sale and then
Yeah.
it's a real issue.
No, it's a real problem. It's been a nightly snack, probably too often for
Oh yeah,
myself. And
I'm feeling heavy, man. Like real
yeah,
heavy. Like
yeah,
I didn't work out last week because the kids were in school, and then or I'm sorry, the kids were home. Like Caden was sick, and then you have Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and then they were closed the day after Christmas Eve, so they're all home. And then like today, I'm installing a new offense at Florida State, so like I wanted to put that through its paces, and then Kara's like, like do chores, and I'm like, fuck are you talking about? So I didn't do it today either. I am taking the kind of taking the approach of like yesterday and today, maybe even it'll extend into the rest of the week. Who knows? Of like there's gonna be times in like February where I'm working till like late, and I'm like, man, all I want to do is just like play video games. But like I told myself no to video games back in at this time of year for whatever reason, like to work out or something crazy. And I don't want to do that. I want to be like, okay, I told myself yes during this period of time. I
yeah.
got it done. Got it out of my like I got that. Like I don't want to look back and be like, oh man, why didn't I tell myself yes?
I feel that.
It's all about moderation. It's all about moderation. You gotta tell yourself yes every once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I need to tell myself no a few more times, though. I think I need to have a better balance. No, no has not been in the vocabulary too often. But yeah, regardless, I have a pack sitting in the freezer waiting for me whenever you know the urge hits. But I'm gonna try mainly because I also have a Chick-fil-A shake waiting for me after this as
Ooh,
well. It's
what
probably
kind?
not going to be tonight. I just went chocolate. Got
Yeah,
Kelly some peppermint. I don't know. I mean, peppermint's good, but I don't know that I can
peppermint's
really.
kind of junk. I want them to bring back that banana pudding. That was so good that they had for the
Ooh,
fall. That banana pudding, like I remember I stopped off. I think Lexi was with me. Maybe she wasn't. No, she must have been. I can't remember if she was or not. But Stopped off, got the spicy pimento chicken sandwich,
Yeah.
got the banana pudding shake, and got home in like record time because it was the end of the backyard brawl. It was
Mm.
like the very end. So like I had it up on my phone in the car and like, just sitting here. Like I'm not really like watching it while I'm driving. Kind of,
Mhm.
out of one eye. But like, got the volume on and stuff. And like there's just zero traffic because like everyone's at home. But then
Right.
the game ended and like all of a sudden like traffic just crazy. So, but I was it was fine at that point. So, whew, yeah.
All right, why don't we talk about the first four games here? And I'm actually, I truthfully did not think we were going to be on the same side as far as our opinions on how the first round went. I really thought, like me personally, I'm of the I don't want to hear people bitch about who got in and who got out, like and who was left out. I just have such a hard time with the three losses, especially when one game is, you're even for the SEC in this particular instance, because they were the next ones in, right? Whether it's
Mhm.
Alabama or South Carolina, especially considering they have, four non-con for most teams, BS non-coms baked in. So I didn't want to have that argument. I really thought you were going to come from the other angle of like, not necessarily just Alabama specifically, but just like, you know, being pissy about the blowouts. And I'm glad that we were on the same side because it's never going to be perfect, but I feel like I don't know. I have a hard time believing in this particular case that either one of those teams would have won. Like maybe it would have been less of a blowout, I guess, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this, right? Like, I think the biggest thing that well, to your direct point, yeah, I mean, and Kirk Herbstreit went on this whole rant about, being
Yeah.
deserving and stuff like that. And like, or the best teams supposed to be the most deserving teams, blah, blah, blah. But, when I look at those teams that, got in, that got the actual at large bids, Tennessee, I think that we were all on the same page that, they were pretty well deserving.
Yeah.
Ohio State, obviously, no one's arguing that. Well, let's just go to the teams that lost, right? The teams that lost, they got a at large bid. Tennessee, everyone agreed they were deserving. SMU, skip for now. Indiana, that's the only one you probably have a question about because they really got trounced. Like their defense played well, their offense didn't. I could see if you're gonna make an argument, they got in because they were more deserving as opposed to being the best available. I can see that with Indiana, but SMU, I mean, you cannot punish them for going to their conference championship game and losing because prior to that conference championship game, everyone agreed they were going to get in. Everyone thought they were just going to win the ACC and get in. So you cannot punish a team for playing an extra game when that extra game is their conference championship game. And in this type of situation, go for you just can't do it. Well, I don't know. I take that. SMU is probably a special case. You could have kept Clemson out, right? Had SMU won and Clemson lost, yeah, you could have
Yeah, I
punished them
think
for
that
it. But
probably
like
would have happened.
SMU was ranked high, and they ranked in the middle of the top 12, and then they lost their game. So if you have a situation like that going forward, you can't punish them for it. You can't just drop them out. Um, you know,
Yeah, I mean, I just like there's gonna be an instance where Indiana. Most of that was not their fault, right? So you have a new coaching staff in, and the non-con games are scheduled 10 years in advance,
yeah,
and then they just got a draw. They just got what the draw they got in the Big Ten. And I'm sure that's going to happen to an SEC school where there's going to be one that probably gets it, only gets 1 to 2 losses, and because of who they played, and they're going to get in. I mean, Notre Dame. You could make that argument with Notre Dame. Like, give me a break. When we talked about it because it's like after the
see, but I'm on
Anna
the other
game.
side of that. I think Notre Dame was playing better and better ball. Like I think that
Yes,
they
but
they
their
deserve
schedule. Well, I mean, but
their schedule. Yes,
I would argue that like Indiana, obviously they lost to all three of the biggest teams they played, right? And convincingly, but they handled everyone else. Like anyone that was mediocre or bad, they handled. There wasn't like
Yeah.
they were eking out wins, right? So
Yeah.
I would say the same thing with Notre Dame. Like, okay, yeah, you can count the A&M game as the great win, first game of the year. I mean, that kind of is what it is. But like after that, they played no one. They played absolutely no one, and they lost to Northern Illinois.
They played the
So
service academies. The service academies kicked
no
ass.
one. Like it's just like
Um,
that's all I getting at. So it's just like when you look up like resume, yes, they have the A&M win, but like ultimately, like Notre Dame being in a non-conference and then playing the ACC as their conference, and then this year they played the bullshit ACC teams. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
I, you can always make that argument. So if it's one team that people are pissed about, like, give me a break.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this. Indiana. Yeah, Indiana's the only team I think you have a right to be pissed about. If it was me and we talked about this, I think that there should be something like I think people should take a look. The committee should take a look at like who's hot because I think that there's something to that. Like
Yeah.
who's peaking at the right time.
Sure.
Because it's really easy for me, especially given the shirt I'm wearing and my allegiances, to say, well, Alabama should have got in instead of Indiana. I would say, actually, South Carolina probably has the most compelling argument to get in, given that like their losses that they had were really close, and then they were just peaking at the right time. Like I would have loved to have seen that South Carolina team get into the playoff and see what they can do.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's just it's so hard when you're looking at three losses. Like,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
you're in the SEC, so you only play eight conference games, and I get it. Clemson's always one of their non-con, which is great. But they played like Wofford at the end of the year, right? So I don't disagree. I think they were hot. I think it would have been a really exciting.
Oh my God, what just happened?
Yeah, I saw that.
What in the world was that a design play or did he flip that? What the hell? Was that a design hook and ladder? Folks, we're watching the Lions Niners right now up on a separate screen. And I think there was a design hook and ladder to
Yeah.
Jameson Williams just
If
now.
Ben Johnson's freaking out like that, then I don't think it's by accident.
You know what? I did not bet Jameson Williams to score, and I hate myself because he scored twice now. Wow.
That's like the third time we've scored on a hook and ladder this year.
The
On that
third
exact same-
time?
Yes. Gibbs has two, and now JMO has one.
Does Ben Johnson just want to go be offensive coordinator for the University of Alabama? I remember we used to do cool shit like that.
No,
You can have people like Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams, guess where he's from? Alabama.
as
Jameson
long as
Williams
his
actually
ass-
did an interview the other day where he said that he talked about why he left Ohio State for Alabama. He said, "Man, to be where I want to be as a wide receiver, I knew I had to go to the University of Alabama." Smart guy.
He also said he didn't have it. They weren't giving him opportunities at Ohio State either.
Yeah. Well, hey, did he not say what he said?
He did. Yeah, as long as Ben Johnson stays out of Chicago, I wish him good luck.
I think Big Cat actually said something really funny about that. He's like, did Ben Johnson just say Chicago's interesting because like how are they that bad with that team? Like it's really intriguing. Like
Yeah, I have a feeling he's so picky. Obviously, I have a feeling that they're so dysfunctional at the top. I mean, they have like a GM and a president of operations, and the GM really doesn't have a role. The owners are a mess. So I think it's attractive in a lot of other reasons, but I'm hoping that that's enough to keep him away. And I kind of hope. I mean, like everyone would love this. You probably wouldn't love this. If Zach Taylor gets the axe there, could you imagine him with Joe Cool out in Cincy? Maybe another team to stop Mahomes from going to 70 Super Bowls.
I kind of hate you for saying that and putting that into the universe.
Yeah.
The whole Mahomes thing, man. I mean, I think that they're just. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. They just can't. They're not that good. They're
But until someone in the AFC goes into Kansas City and beats them, we're left to guess. Buffalo. This should be Buffalo. It should be Buffalo. It should be Buffalo. Will it be Buffalo? I have no fucking clue.
Yeah, they just. I don't know, man. There are some passes he makes. Wow, Why? Like you're gonna eventually like he can't do that forever. He
You can't
can't do
keep
it
getting
forever.
away with this.
He can't. I will have him arrested. Like seriously. Like I will call the police and have him. I already have. I already have. I will assassinate him.
Yes.
No, I
All
won't.
right. So
No, I won't.
sorry, everyone.
Parody.
We need to
Parody.
we need to pivot. We need
Yeah,
to.
we
I'm
get back.
gonna get us back. I'm gonna get us
Yeah,
back.
get
All
us
right.
back to college football.
Texas Clemson blowout. Thing that shocked me the most was how I mean the offense still wasn't as efficient as it should have been on Texas's behalf, and that's still a worry I have. I don't think I don't think it's going to bother them in this next round, but
No.
I think that 38's misleading and it looked better, but I think like I still have that feeling of Sark just taking his foot off the pedal. He did it in that game, and I'm just afraid that that's going to bite them in the ass. But
I don't know that he took the foot off his foot off the pedal in that game. I think that
okay.
Clemson just like I think I was right in my take that like Dabo had his guys prepped and his guys had been there before. And that's why they played so well.
Yeah.
Is because like honestly, there's just if you let Clemson into the postseason, they're gonna do well. If you let them into their championship game or the postseason, that's kind of what they're built for. There's not very many teams that are like that. Alabama has a couple national championships just because of that reason. They're
Yeah.
just they were there, they've done it, and there's something that when you get to those types of games where it's like I've done this before and I can do it, where the doubt creeps into other people's minds. That happened with Kirby in Georgia for a while there until it didn't, and now I think I think that it's in Kirby's favor. Yeah, across the board, I have nothing else to add on Texas Clemson.
No, I will say if Texas plays similar to that, they can win it. Like I do think there's only a couple teams that I really think can win it all, and I think they have what it takes if that offense can get back to running the ball well because the offensive line's there, right? And if that offense can just be a little bit more efficient. The defense is good, right?
hey, Ryan Geist, Dad beer. This is really, really good. It's a hoppy holiday ale, but it's definitely it's a red ale. I was gonna say it tastes like a Scotch red. That's a really good. Yeah. Because there's a little pininess. It says Dad mows acres of dank piney hops. Yeah. Um, the next game on the schedule, which I
Yeah.
think this is where for everything else, I think we agree. Home field advantage, and that was I think the biggest theme of the first round. Home
Yeah.
field advantage played a huge deal
Yeah. 100%.
because Ohio State absolutely murdered Tennessee.
Yeah.
Like I watched that game and I thought it was so like I was a little nervous heading in because I thought that maybe like Jim Harbaugh like totally broke Ryan Day's brain, but like they were rushing four. They had four down linemen or linebacker, whatever. They rushed
Yeah.
four and they dropped seven. And the seven that they had were like the majority of the time, at least like 8 yards off the ball. They were just like, listen, we don't think you can run on us. We also don't think you can pass. But we also think our pass rush can get home with four because you guys just suck. So we're just going to do that. And you're going to have nowhere to throw the ball. And our pass rush is going to just eat you up. And boy, it did. Because Nico had one completion in the first quarter. Completion in the first quarter.
Yeah, I had my concerns about just how that Tennessee offense was going to work in the cold anyway. And I don't think it did, right? So, but it just, yeah, I think that game was probably the one, and I guess SMU too, where it just was like very glaringly obvious that it's like, it's similar to thing in the NFL with it's like dome team, and then you have to go outside in January. It's like that offense is designed to just quickly get it out to space to their playmakers, but it's hard to do when the ball is cold and the grass and it's grass and it's a damp grass and now as far as Ohio State goes, it's just that is what they're capable of, and they haven't done that all year long. And if they do that again, they can be a national championship,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Now, do I think they're going to do that again? Nope. But it was probably super frustrating to see as a Buckeye fan.
Yeah.
That because that just hasn't happened all year long.
Yeah. 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 I mean, they looked every part of a national champion.
Yeah.
I will say that.
No,
But
for sure.
again, I think that is a team like they just thrive. Like cold temperatures at night in the shoe, like that's every little Columbus kid grows up dreaming of that, right? So Columbus kid, Ohio kid, whatever.
Yeah.
All right, SMU Penn State. Speaking of cold games, but this one should have been at night. I would have loved to have seen a whiteout at night.
Yeah.
But I mean, gosh almighty. I mean, what's
That quarterback
what's
just
SM?
had a terrible day. Like
Yeah.
it's so misleading because you're gonna see that and go, Penn State's so awesome. I mean, two pick sixes and then like another fumble that was basically handed to them in the red zone. It's just like I think SMU that quarterback had a horrible game, but they moved the ball up. And I texted you, and then when you were like, "Are you sure about that?" and it was already like 14-0. When SMU went right down the field to begin the game and got into the red zone and went for it on fourth and didn't get it. But they, yeah, it I don't think that score is really indicative. Like that, you would look at that on face value and just be like, SMU didn't belong, right? And I don't think that's really the case. That quarterback, first off,
Kevin
look,
Jennings didn't belong.
yeah,
The
that quarterback was
He
just a
didn't
mess. Like
belong.
you could
I
tell
just
he looked
Googled his
cold
name.
as soon as they showed
Yeah.
the camera on
There's
him in warm-ups. He was cold.
Yeah.
So
There's also going to be a lot of chatter about him next year being like a Heisman contender, all that. Bump that. Like, if that's how the guy plays in big moments, not just that, but the ACC. Granted, he did get better as that game went on. But
yeah,
my gosh, he just panics. Like,
he panicked. Yeah,
he's, slinging it.
and I will say, to be fair, you're SMU. You didn't play anyone this year, and then you go to Happy Valley, and while we can be lukewarm on Penn State all we want, that's still, I mean, I think in the game it's the number one home field advantage in college and NCAA. So, I mean, it's a hard place to play, and then you're adding the fact that it was cold, which is not your thing in Dallas, and it's a playoff game, so that 100,000 is really 107, and they're like it's the last home game they have of the year. It's this first playoff. Like there's so many things playing into it. So, and that I think played into all of those home field advantages, but specifically there. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I still come away just kind of like I don't know if Penn State's still any good, but
We will find out in the next round.
yeah, I think this will be.
I think this. I think Penn State does certain things very well.
Yeah,
And I think that the things that they do ball control well, they throw to number 44 or however they get him involved very well.
yeah,
And they don't turn the ball over a lot, and they create turnovers.
yeah,
And that's bad for a team like SMU.
sure, yep,
So they're doing a Jimmy Carter. Really? We're Lions and Niners are doing a Jimmy Carter tribute. Hey, who gives a shit? Not a very good president. Doing a
Indiana,
lot.
Notre Dame.
He saw Babe Ruth. He saw Hawk Tua. A lot of people could say that.
This was the game that I was the furthest off on. But
Yes.
I want to caveat it a little.
You
bit.
also, I should have brought this up on the last podcast. You're like, a lot of Indiana guys didn't get recruited by Notre Dame. The guy I'm fired up. I think Signe brought a lot of guys from James Madison with him. So like,
his entire starting lineup.
yeah.
But
So-
it's the concept of like there are still Indiana kids on his roster. There are still Indiana kids he's fighting to get.
Sure.
And So yes. In this case, those kids have no real allegiances to even Indiana at this point. But like,
Certainly not after that game.
no, I just what I came away with is like I knew Notre Dame's defense was good. I probably underestimated that a slight bit, but like I still come away with it's everyone wants to shit on Indiana, right? It's still Indiana's defense, and they only put up 27 after completely stymieing that offense
Yeah.
completely. So that's just like I still come away with like, well, how much can I trust Notre Dame? Like
Yeah.
their defense is
Yeah.
good enough to keep them in games, but that offense still can't score.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was, I mean, it was disappointing on my end. I really thought Indiana was going to just come out balls to the wall. Signetti, he's the way he talks shit, man. Like that, that's something now, right? You have your three biggest opponents. You got embarrassed by all three of them.
Mm-hmm.
Might need to tone down the shit talking, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was. I really thought. I thought it was going to be a slugfest. I thought Indiana was going to have way more fight on offense, and they didn't. They were outmatched. That was like very. You could just tell they were
Yeah.
overmanned.
Nice little Texas route by Gibbs there. Okay. So, wait, what?
No,
Yeah,
it's an
come on,
incomplete
that's
pass. Bro. It's
incomplete.
just below the wall.
Anyways, all right. As you can see, we're we're just stumbling into the end of the year here. All right. Anything else on the first four games?
Nope. Quarterfinals.
Quick break and then quarterfinals.
Okay.
Bye. And we're back. We're back and we are focused somewhat on the quarterfinals here.
Which one do you want to start off with? Just go down the list. Chick-fil-A Bowl.
Let's just go down the rip.
The bowl game that I think should be replaced by the Pop-Tart Bowl because, like, guess what, people? Before the playoff even was a thing, the Peach Bowl was not a big bowl.
Yeah, but
It's like
dude,
been
Chick-fil-A
forced to
Peach
be
Bowl,
because it's in Atlanta.
Chick-fil-A Peach, like Chick-fil-A being the sponsor. If Chick-fil-A is ever not the sponsor for the Peach Bowl, I'm okay with it going away. But with Chick-fil-A being the sponsor for the Peach Bowl, their peach milkshake is like so close to heaven on earth. So like I am totally cool with it because every time I think of the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, I think about their peach milkshake.
I mean, they're gonna still have the milkshake regardless of if they sponsor that bowl.
Yeah, but EJ, they're not going to have it in the wintertime. They have the peppermint milkshake in the wintertime, and I don't want the peppermint. I want the peach and the banana pudding. And actually, that chocolate sounds good too. Maybe I just want some ice cream. Real fat. Real fat right now.
All right. Well, this game this year is Texas and Arizona State.
Which is awesome. On face value,
Sure.
that Longhorns burnt orange with the Sun Devil yellow and red, like great uniform, like cool, very cool, and like old school. Feels a little old school type of matchup. I love it. I love it. Not gonna be a good game. Gonna be a complete massacre.
Texas is favored by, I mean, ESPN has it at 13. That probably makes sense. Probably underneath that 14 mark, 13 and a half. It's probably somewhere around there. This is on New Year's Day, 1 o'clock on ESPN. So this is starting us off on that day. Yes. So Arizona State, no chance?
I don't think so. How about you, pal? I mean, I like Scatabo.
Yeah. So a part of me, I almost picked this in our bracket actually too, and I would have had it been Clemson beating Texas. I think Dillingham is also a Signetti type asshole. He is also
absolutely a Signe type asshole.
He is a great offensive mind, right? But he came from Oregon. That's where he was the offensive coordinator. And I think like Levitt, I really wish the Tyson, the receiver, was playing, but they clearly showed.
Well, he's
in the
dead.
ACC championship game that like even before Beck's got hurt, they were dominating on offense. So I think Scatabo, like a part of me thinks if that Arizona State team with a bye can do enough on offense, is Texas going to shit the bed on offense? I don't think so, but that's kind of how I'm thinking is like if Arizona State being super creative, having an extra week to prepare, if they can just do enough on offense, will Texas be in their own way on their offense to make it a closer game than it probably should be?
Mhm.
I don't think that's going to be the case, but that's kind of
Yeah.
what's stuck in my head a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Scatterbo's a special player for sure, and to your point, in their championship game, I think that they played like there was more of a receiving threat than I thought there would be.
Yeah.
But that being said, I think if there's a team where Sark is going to be like, I still, for the life of me, do not know why Arch Manning didn't play until overtime against Georgia, and like, I think that he's kind of like he's just going to play his best players and he's going to win the football game. So I think that there's also a talent differential there too.
Yeah, yeah. I think, especially that's what I'm afraid of. Like on Texas defensively, specifically, I think this could go horrifically for Arizona State.
Yeah,
So,
it's going to go bad. It's going to go bad.
all right, Rose Bowl.
God. Wait, can we jump to? Do we want to jump to Fiesta or
Sure. We can, yeah. All right, Fiesta Bowl.
Because
Fiesta Bowl
that's a large differential too. Penn State, Boise State,
Penn
State's
State,
favored by
Boise
11.
State, New Year's Eve, time of taping, or it's going to be tonight when you guys hear this tomorrow. 7:30 nighttime out in Phoenix. I don't know.
I do.
I don't know.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah.
I do. I just typed in my pick. I mean, listen. Let me just say this and say that Ashton Jeanty should have won the Heisman. I think at this point, given all the heat that Travis Hunter's getting for his fiance, and the Snapchats that have popped up of her 3 years ago with a different fella, when they've been dating for 5 years. Interesting, but I'm sure he wished that heat wasn't on him. But wow, the internet's a cruel place, dude. Cruel. Just let the guy win a Heisman and be happy. I mean, not since Manti Te'o have we seen such a terrible reaction to one's girlfriend or
I mean, to be one, I think this was probably a positive thing for him. Two, color me shocked.
positive thing.
Yeah, well, it doesn't hurt him personally. Like, yeah, I'm sure his feelings are hurt, but like for him, a guy that's about to be handed even more money than he already has.
To second guess his decision making. Yeah, that's
Yes,
true.
to learn some lessons, and that's
Good
what I'm
point.
saying. Like, color me shocked that a guy that was, the first overall recruit in his recruiting class that is now, worked his way up to be one overall
Heisman Trophy winner.
Well,
Yeah.
a Heisman Trophy winner, and probably one overall if New England doesn't trade out of that spot. Yeah, you're gonna have to look out for people that want your money.
Yeah.
Like, so I feel like if anything, I think it's a positive. I mean, yes. One, also, I'm so shocked that he's so upset over social media. It's just like you've never been harassed to this point. Like, I'm shocked, literally shocked that someone of just his caliber and like notoriety just hasn't been like trolled.
I mean, he was. I mean, remember when that whole thing with the Colorado State kid and stuff like that? Like, I think that he has been. I think this is a little different. Like, this is personal. I feel like if people are coming at you for like your play and stuff like that, that's one thing. When people are posting pictures of like your fiance with another guy or Snapchats of your fiance with another guy while you were dating, I mean, that's a horse of a different color, I think.
Yeah, but I guess I'm just not like don't even be on social media. Like, I don't know. I guess I just like assume if I'm famous that like bad things are going to come out.
Well, but you're
Period.
saying it's a positive. He learned a lesson. Be on social. If anything, be on social media. This is a good thing. This is the lesson. Be there.
I mean, but you also like what we don't know is like were there signs like do other people know like like if people on Snapchat are sending it, I have a hard time believing, especially who he is, that like someone else hasn't tried to message him about it.
What
How
time would he
act?
have, dude? Well, who would message him? Who would message him?
You can DM
like
him.
his boys probably don't know about this shit.
I think there's got to be some dude that's just like, hey, even if they're thinking like, hey, can I get a pair of cleats out of you? Like, hey, bro, just want to let you know your girl, she's with my dude. Like, I don't know. I have a hard time believing, or just like a girl like that. You don't think there's any signs, like whether he wants to ignore them or not. Like,
I think he
I
did. I think it's not even that he wants to ignore them. He's purely focused on football. I mean, this kid cares enough about football to go to an HBCU. Not there's anything wrong with going to an HBCU, but go to an HBCU when he clearly could have gone to a D1 program to learn from Prime
I was gonna say
and like
because
be
of one
trained by
person.
him.
Yeah.
Like well, yeah, he went there to be taught by Prime, right? Prime said, "I'll make you Heisman Trophy winner, first overall draft pick." Prime has followed up on his commitment, but that's not without a lot of hard work by Travis Hunter to get there. Like I'm sure that this kid's probably just focused on football. Like, anyways,
I,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, but back to going back to the Rose Bowl.
All right, so you never told me what you're taking. Boise, Penn State. We went
Yeah,
on
no. Well, because
Genty,
I leveled it off
Genty
by
to
saying I think
Hunter.
Genty should be the Heisman Trophy winner. But that being said, I just think like as talented as he is, and he is talented, and we have seen Boise play a D1 program, a top tier playoff team in Oregon.
The one seed,
Yes, the
the
one seed.
best team in the regular
Yes.
season.
What I had said earlier that Penn State does well. They don't give up the ball much. They create turnovers when there's the opportunities there. They also control the line of scrimmage very, very well. And like it's not a team full of Ashton Genty types. I think that there's a talent deficit that's there. And I think that like this I think 11's a little much. I'll probably take Boise to cover the 11 there. But I do think that there's a talent deficit, and I do think that Penn State's going to control the ball and just grind it out against them. I see this being 11's probably the right number. I could see a 10-point loss or something like that, but yeah, I think Penn State wins this one. It
Yeah,
might be closer than the score shows, but I think Penn State wins this one.
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. Like, I think Genty is going to make plays. I think people are going to realize that like he's that good, and
Yeah,
and I do think they'll score. I don't know. The biggest issue I have is on defense, right? Or where Penn State isn't explosive. If they run the ball and kind of control that aspect of it, like you said, I think that could be a problem for Boise, and then they can't keep up. But yeah, I think if this was just like a different opponent, I would pick against Penn State. But I just think, like you said, when it comes down to just like Abdul Carter, like who are these linemen are going to try to stop this likely top 20 pick in the draft? Like that's going to be hard.
yeah,
So Genty will make it look better than it should. But yeah, I'm with you. I think Penn State. But I would flirt with taking Boise to cover. I'm kind of with you there too.
yeah, yeah. I'd flirt with that. I'm not saying I'd take it out to dinner. I'm
Right.
not saying it would be I'd propose to it whenever I'm a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, but I'd flirt with it.
Yeah.
I'm
right.
sorry, that was the Fiesta Bowl. Penn State, Boise State's Fiesta Bowl. Rose
Correct.
Bowl, Ohio State, Oregon. Great, great Rose Bowl matchup. Um, Ohio State is laying 2.5.
LOL.
I
It's
am
Oregon for
conflicted
me.
here.
It's Oregon because I don't believe that Ohio State team that played Tennessee shows up here. I think you're going to see one again. This gives you Oregon getting 2 weeks to get healthy, to not only prepare, right? Get healthy, prepare. I get the idea of like a revenge factor, but like ultimately, who you are at this point. And Oregon didn't even have their best defensive player in Birch when they played Ohio State. So I think he makes a huge difference. And then on offense, especially with Tez finally healthy, they look like they should have, right? When he has been in the games, they're unstoppable because you can't handle him in the slot. You can't. You put a safety there, they'll run the ball. right? If you put a linebacker on him, good luck. And even safeties can't cover him. And then you have Evan Stewart. Like I feel really good, especially after watching Oregon play Penn State, and it was a close game. Like I'm not expecting like Oregon to like blow them out, but like I, if the Ohio State from last week shows up, they win, hands down. No issues like complaints there. I just don't think. I think that was kind of a little bit of a lightning in a bottle there.
It could be. It could be a lightning in a ball, but I also think that there's when you're in a playoff like this, I think that like having a bye versus playing and playing so well, and having momentum, like Ohio State could not have been lower than they were like in program history. Ohio State fans, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you can get lower than you were after that Michigan loss. That was embarrassing from the moment they walked out of the tunnel. Like literally from the moment they walked out of the tunnel, because when they walked out of that tunnel, it was the great, such a cool, like they put the Sicario music behind it. Like it was such a cool entrance onto the field, right? So to go from that to just an absolute embarrassment of the SEC, which is huge for Big Ten people. I think that they have a lot of momentum behind them right now. I think that Dan Lanning is a great coach. I mean, hell, brother, you don't gotta get me fired up. You don't gotta talk to me about getting fired up with like Inglorious Bastard memes. You know, like the fact that he talks to them about bashing skulls in. Who knows what the hell he's saying? That was just for Washington. Who knows what the hell he's saying for Ohio State? But they barely lost at Oregon. Barely lost. It took boneheaded plays to make them lose by Will Howard. And I think it's really going to come down to Will Howard. But like, because, you know, someone's got to get the ball to those wide receivers. Yeah, man. I think Ohio State gets it done.
I don't. I think everything you're saying is why I think Oregon's going to be extra pissed off. Who's the favorite to win the national championship?
I really don't know who is.
It's Ohio State. Which team is undefeated in college football?
That'd be Oregon.
Who won their conference championship?
That'd be the Oregon Ducks.
And who beat the team that is favored to win the national championship?
This is also a situation where it's one of those things where it's like,
and it's Dan Lanning.
I gotta see you get it done. I gotta see you do it. And
that's fine. I just don't think Ohio State's the team. If this was Oregon, Georgia, sure. But Ohio State is the team that's infamous for shitting all over themselves. And because they beat a Tennessee team, which you said was super great at home in the cold. I get the momentum thing. I just feel like we're still talking about Ryan Day here. We're still talking about Ryan Day. So that's fair. I mean, they're the favorites. They're the favorites to win it all. And after watching that kind of game last week, I don't blame you. I think that's more of the exception, and it was the entire year. And them now having to go all the way out to the West Coast, to the Rose Bowl. And it's an Oregon team that's been sitting there going like, oh, hang on. We're not the favorites to win this whole thing. Like, what more do we have to prove? We beat your Ohio States. We beat your Penn State. We beat your Michigans. And we went undefeated, and we're still not the favorite. And it's Dan Lanning that's going to be telling them that. I don't know, man.
You might have to take that hat off, given how hard you're slurping down on that. But
hey, listen, man. And this isn't just a preseason thing. I've already picked against some of the preseason thing. I don't know. It's still just Ohio State and Ryan Day to me.
Yeah.
But they're capable of it, 1,000%. But it'll be great. I mean, this is the game. Yeah. This is arguably the game that determines potentially the national championship, especially with Georgia's situation.
All right. Notre Dame, Georgia.
Carson Beck.
Georgia favored by 1.
Because Carson Beck's done, right? So he's not coming back at all, taking his time to just get the right. I'm correct, right? I'm pretty sure I saw that quickly.
Yeah.
that he is done. He's focused on getting surgery or rehabbing ahead of the NFL draft. Correct.
That's this sound, folks. That's a Miller White aluminum bottle right there.
Gunnar Stockton, admittedly, know nothing about the kid. I know that they obviously,
Nick wanted him. Nick wanted him real bad.
well,
Wanted
I'm
him
sure
real bad.
a lot of people wanted Nico too, so, I mean, we could go down the list of wants, but all I know is when he got into that game against Texas, they sure as hell didn't want him to be winning that game for them. So now he gets the preparation that he didn't have before, right? He gets that extra week, which is huge. The game is played in New Orleans, thank goodness. I for a second I thought they were playing in Atlanta, which would be ridiculous. Notre Dame looked better than probably people thought they would look. I don't know. I think that line is right where I feel like I'm at because Georgia still shouldn't have won the SEC. Texas totally choked that away. And now you're telling me that I have to rely on a kid that's never played before, no matter how touted he is?
Yeah. I have to take Georgia here because I picked them to win the whole thing in our bracket challenge. Obviously, I did not foresee Carson Beck. One could question my decision making and putting Carson Beck where I put him. But you know what, man? Oh God! And Sunday Night Football is running a special on the Steelers, just absolutely shitting away the past 3 games. That's awesome. I'm super happy about that. Those are things that like don't make my blood pressure rise. Hold on one second. Dad needs his medicine.
Yeah. Now you have a Bengals team that's not dead. Obviously, you guys scored 40 or whatever it was on them, so it'll be another shootout.
At this point, dude. At this point, all the Steelers Twitter is like, well, you know what? Maybe it's a good thing if the Bengals win because then we'll go and we'll play. I don't know who we'll play. I forget. I think it's like the Texans.
Houston, yeah,
fine. And then they'll go play. The Bengals will go play the Bills, and then they'll play the Chiefs, and they'll beat both of them, and then we'll play the Bengals again. It's like. I don't know, dude. I'd rather just punch myself in the dick 1,000 times. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, we fucking suck. We're terrible. I tell you who's not going to win the Super Bowl? Pittsburgh Steelers. Timestamp it, bookmark it. I'm super frustrated right now. I'm flustered a little bit. I don't like it. I'm going to pick Georgia to win this football game. Just because they've been there before. Marcus Freeman has not. Great coach. To your point that you made earlier, I have not seen their ability to score. And Gunner is new to this offense, but or new as a starter, not new to the offense. I think he is a talented player. I think they have a lot of talented players behind them. I also think it's going to force Kirby to run the ball more. And honestly, they have a really, really good running game. Beyond that, they have a really, really good defense. And with the defense that Georgia has going against, Marcus Freeman's offense, that they couldn't score that much against Indiana at home. This is Georgia. It's a whole different ball game, brother. They might get blanked.
How much does Georgia score?
Get blanked.
How much?
It might be one of those games. Kirby Smart once called a game where LSU didn't cross the 50-yard line until the fourth. Didn't cross the 50-yard line until the fourth quarter, when we had the third and 14 in. So I'm thinking that could be one of these situations again.
I think I'm going to be going against you in this one.
Whoa!
And I didn't pick this in the bracket. But I think I think when I'm looking at this game, I'm looking at an offense that didn't play well with a 3-year guy against a defense that has played well, admittedly, all year long. Played very well against an Indiana team, very capable of scoring points against mediocre teams. And it's Notre Dame, so they have the recruiting classes. There isn't going to be that talent gap like you
That's
would
true.
expect, right? So like Notre Dame is a national brand. They pull people from all over, and they're usually a top 10 recruiting class, not top 5, but top 10. So it's the gap isn't going to be huge. I think if I'm looking at this game, I'm looking at kid that's never played, now playing in his biggest game of his life, and Riley Leonard, who is, turnover prone, but hasn't been, which is why they've played well, but has experience. So really good defense. So say elite defense, very good defense, inexperienced, broken offense. Offense that's not like super great, but knows what they do and has that experience. 13-10. I agree with you. I don't know if people score, but I think Gunner's going to make a mistake. I think when it comes down to it, I think Notre Dame's going to stack the box, forget it, ETN. They're going to, and whatever the fantastic freshman is. I think they are going to say, Gunner, throw the ball, and then on the opposite side, Georgia might do the same, stack the box. Hey, Leonard, throw the ball. I'm banking on young kid making the fatal mistake that Leonard won't. That's what I'm banking on.
No, I mean, honestly, EJ, if I can talk you out of this pick, which I really don't want to because I want to do better than you, but Kirby Smart was the defensive coordinator at Alabama when they had guys at quarterback that really had no business being quarterbacks of those teams, and they won national championships. The reason why they did it is with the running game. So I hope that Kirby, and I trust that Kirby has learned those lessons. Like, Jay Coker is one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. He's actually might be my favorite college quarterback of all time. Jay Coker wasn't particularly good, but he did good things in the right spots, and he motivated the team and galvanized the team. A.J. McCarron was another one of those guys. They weren't great quarterbacks, but they also did have excellent running backs behind them, and that's what Georgia has. And that's why I think that offense is just going to do enough. I think 21-0 is a great score.
See, my question would be two questions. If that's the case, then why has Georgia's offense looked as terrible as it has all year long? Nothing's changed. They had a very capable quarterback. And then 2, why is the line only 1?
Well, Vegas gets it wrong sometimes, brother.
They do, but they usually aren't catastrophically wrong in an instance like this.
They have been. They have been for the past couple rounds of past couple bowl games. Well, I've got my ass waxed.
Yeah, I would say, first round question. This is the round where usually beside the Boise and Arizona State, I feel like the Notre Dame Georgia is a Final Four playoff game in most years. So I'm gonna guess that line isn't going to be 7, 8, 9 points off. Considering they've given some pretty big spreads too, it's not like they're scared.
Yeah.
They ain't scared. We'll see.
We'll see. All right. So to wrap it up, I've got Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, Georgia. You've got Texas, Penn State, Oregon, Notre Dame.
Correct.
It's all
sticking with it.
Well, EJ, it's been a hell of a year, hell of a 2024. I think this is an incredible season of Whiskers and Whiskey's Tales of the Trophies. I think this has been incredible playoffs so far. Very excited for these games that are coming up here. I think most of them should be fun, except for the 2 that are going to be blowouts. Man, I wish all of our listeners a very happy and prosperous new year. Hope everyone enjoyed the hell out of the holidays. And anything for you?
No, we will be back to talk about what we got completely wrong in the quarterfinals and talk about the semifinals and revisit the Final Four that we had picked in the preseason, which was like an impossible thing to do, and see if we got any correct this year in the semifinals. So, for Mike, I'm EJ. Always remember, too much of anything is bad, but too much good whiskey is barely enough.
Cheers, boys.